Okay, guys. All right. So this is kind of spur of the moment chat. What we're wanting to do, I've got James here. I've got my friend DA. Here's what we're going to do. The latest press conference for the Las Vegas shooting, they did that today. And they also only allowed certain people with press credentials inside. And we're talking, you know, I think her last name's Moore. She's got a verified Twitter account. They didn't let her in, and somebody else. I just figured we'd watch this. If you all haven't seen it, if you have, good. But if you haven't, it's pretty interesting to watch the body language and just how nervous. And what we're going to do is, before I play this, we're just going to kind of just chat on just everything that's happened as far as this whole operation goes. So what's up, DA? What's up, James?
What's going on? Yeah, you're saying it's an operation. It's definitely an operation. We were talking before we went live, and we were just talking about so many inconsistencies and things that are going on. You know, everything going on from the Tropicana and surrounding hotel rooms to multi-agencies coming in with guns pointed at the people gambling in the casino floor. This is at the Tropicana, and it was like Israeli security forces mixed in with different other agencies, and there's the two guys behind carrying a weird suitcase, a mini suitcase, and then some guy is like, oh, the cops are here, it's going live or something like that, to the security guard not being registered and getting shot, and their timeline's all messed up, and I don't even think he works for the Mandalay Bay. And then all of a sudden, like, I think it was last night or the night before, he was going to do an interview, and he didn't show up. The whole thing seems like an alphabet agency operation. Like, you know, 100%. I still don't know if people were really killed. I really don't have a clue. I kind of got disinterested when there were so many inconsistencies that came out. I was just like, oh, wow.
Well, have you seen that video on LiveLeak? The one where it does actually show the people that are deceased laying there on the ground? And, you know, of course, we have to be careful what we say. I'm not going to show any footage, but you can tell those people are deceased. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So that leads. Okay. So okay.
Now, I didn't see 50 people. Of course, he didn't go around to the whole area, but his reaction, his mom was a nurse. He was just there at the concert himself. They shut all the lights off, and he goes over to, I guess, one of the security officers, police officers, whoever, and he's like, why are the lights off? We need medics here. You know, we need EMPs or EMTs. And the officer, whoever he is, looks at him and says, everyone that is laying here on the ground is deceased. And he goes, no, that's not true. He said,
see, that's what I'm saying.
Medics here, I've got medics here, I've got medics here. This person over here has a heartbeat still, you know.
Right. So what it seems like is there's a operation that they ran with a live shooter drill that either went live, or some of the people thought that it was a drill and they had certain parameters down, and then it actually did go live, or something to that effect. But it was multi-agency, and then I think there's a lot of weird stuff. Like, there's no muzzle flashes. There's multiple shooters that were heard. There's no muzzle flashes coming from the Mandalay Bay. There's but there were sparks and all kinds of crazy stuff that was going on during the. I mean, what really went on is like, that's really what's on everybody's mind.
Here's what I think went on. This is what I've witnessed as far as footage goes. You know, you've got the taxi driver footage. I'm sure everyone that's here that has followed this has actually watched the taxi driver footage. She's right next to the entrance to the Mandalay Bay Hotel. and it sounds like it's right above her. And do you know why it sounds like it's right above her? That is because they are in a helicopter. Okay? Before the shooting starts at the concert, you hear pop, 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 pop. Okay? In my opinion, the helicopter is shooting out the windows there at Mandalay Bay. And then that's when the shooting, the rampant fire starts. And then if you'll notice, whenever the shooting, like when people are actually exiting, running out of the venue at gate 5, you hear the shooting sounds like it's, again, right above them, but you hear a helicopter come in closer before you hear the shooting. And that's how they're thinking, oh, there's 3 shooters, 2 shooters. That's because the helicopter keeps going in different areas, different directions. As soon as you see the helicopter going in behind the hotel, you hear no shooting. You see the helicopter again, there's more shooting.
This is something I noticed, and they played this a lot, and you'd see the videos where a group was just standing there like going, oh, let's have a cup of tea or something, let's smoke a cigarette and watch. Like they weren't even freaked out. They were just standing there going, la-di-da-di, let's
right, yeah,
our thumbs. A lot of people thought it was fireworks. A lot of people said it was over the loudspeaker.
Some people thought that there was fireworks like that started. Now were intentionally thrown out to give the signal that it was starting.
Well, it's almost like what James, you said. It's almost like it was supposed to be a drill.
Right.
Like
there was a FEMA drill that night.
Plans, but then like those people that might have been just standing there, just kind of twiddling their thumbs, like not even looking freaked out or anything.
They knew that it was a drill.
They knew it, but yet, hello.
It turned live, maybe.
Yeah.
Helicopter makes sense.
But there was a FEMA drill that night.
There was. That's what I'm saying. There was a drill, and I think that there's certain people that were under their impression that it was an active shooter drill, and then they came in maybe with helicopters. That would seem, because I didn't get how there was multiple cameras on the Mandalay Bay and there's no muzzle flashes. I was like, what are they? How are they hiding all the muzzle flashes? And then how do we not know where it's coming from? The helicopter seems like that would be the most sufficient way to shoot people and make sure that they got away, because they're in a helicopter. They could get away.
Right. They can hide the muzzle flash. They can hide the muzzle flash in a helicopter.
Yes, they can. Yeah. And that would make total sense.
Makes complete.
And look at this. Oh, sorry.
What's that?
Okay. Look at this too. Some of the first few videos that started emerging right that night or the next day. Kay, we were looking at this around that time, and the camera was just all over the place. But yeah, like James, you had said it, I think, Kay, hey, there was strobe lights, there was flashes everywhere. I mean, if there was something on around that stage and in that area going off, it'd be hard to pinpoint because the cameras were all over the place. If you notice, the cameras seemed to be looking up rather than down most of the time. Like they were looking for something in a building or the air. And then there was one view of a video that I saw. It looked like there might have been some flashes, but then again, it could have been a strobe light from the concert.
Yeah, I think they did have a strobe light on a lower floor, and I think that was totally on purpose to either make those pretend muzzle flashes. But I saw multiple videos that showed what is supposed to be the 32nd floor that was supposed to be during the time where you hear shooting. No muzzle flashes. None.
No, I looked and looked myself. Now I did see what looked like muzzle flashes or even a strobe light from the 3rd and 4th floor from the taxi video.
Strobe light on the 4th floor.
Yeah, from the taxi video. Now, the strobe light I seen, and I thought it was the actual light from a muzzle flash, was over next. It was on the left-hand side of the stage over by a tent like same degree level as with the top of the tent, kind of behind it near a gate. Did you all see that? It's
Yes.
very okay. I had to put it in slow-mo to actually catch it. I think it was from a Fox News where they were showing footage. It was somebody's footage, but I actually recorded that and was going to do some commentary and a video on it, but I decided not to because it was just everything just kept changing and changing and changing and changing to where I thought, well, I've seen the first 9 minutes of this press conference here tonight. I was watching it and I was like, well, this is too good to not have any commentary on it. If people have not seen this, they censored this press conference so much. I mean, look at this. You know, we've got Facebook Live right here is where they did it. I don't see a whole lot of YouTube videos on it. I haven't really looked.
That's because they're censoring the hell out of all the YouTube videos.
They are.
Yeah, they censor the hell
There
out
was
of
a few people on Twitter that are journalists, and they said they had a sheriff's deputy blocking the door and said that they were not allowed in. I think I retweeted it on my Twitter. For all of you that don't know, I don't know if my Twitter link works on my channel, but it's at ksmall81. So go to my Twitter. I do believe I retweeted it. But yeah, they were censored. That, you know, they were actually told you are not allowed in. And then once you listen here to this press conference, he says at the very beginning, I am limiting Q&A. And this guy is so freaking nervous. You would have thought he had a freaking pin stuck in his butt with a one of those dolls, voodoo dolls or something. I mean, he is like bad.
There's agencies that are involved that are keeping other agencies, mainly local and all that stuff. They're basically, what do you call it when you structure it to where they don't have like, you're basically coordinating it to where they can't get the intel and the other agencies that have the information. I think that there was an actual drill. There was a drill, and then there's another agency that came in that appeared to make the drill go live. And then the other agencies don't want to say that there was a drill, even if they known about it,
because they're embarrassed. They don't want to say that they effed up.
Well, let's rewind it just a hair back. If you think about, I think it was a couple days ago, it could have been yesterday. You know, I can't keep track anymore. There's so much going on. But that same journalist that was trying to get into the press conference, the whole thing that was going on today. Well, anyway, she tried asking this lady some questions. I guess like this one lady in a nice dressed up suit type thing. She comes up, you know, and she's trying to ask questions, and the lady just like acted odd. She just kind of carried on and kept walking. She wouldn't respond with any comments or anything, really. She just like booked it. And then, you know, you have today. You know what I'm talking about?
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like a day or two ago. I mean, this one, the same lady that got refused because the doors were blocked today by this sheriff, you know, whoever it was that was blocking the doors in the courthouse.
Laura Loomer. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, she literally, I think it was like a day or two ago, was trying to ask questions to one female, and yeah, she just kind of totally got brushed off and kind of was odd about it. Wouldn't answer questions, wouldn't stop, give her the time of day, and just kept booking it out of the room.
Who booked it?
Yeah. Pardon?
Who booked it out of the room?
I don't know who it was. That's the thing. She was like a mysterious person, you know. I mean, if I
so you're not talking about Laura Loomer?
Pardon?
You're not talking about the journalist Laura Loomer?
No, she was asking this one lady. I think she was wearing like kind of like a maroon colored, some type of like suit. You know what I mean, like a women's suit. But
okay,
it was just real quick. It was at the end of the press conference. There was some tweets about it, and it was probably being passed around for a little bit. But yeah, it was just kind of odd. And of course, I don't have it handy right now to look at it and go, oh yeah, this is who it is. I just saw it once real quick, and I'm going, that is odd. That somebody that looked like it was part of the whole case, the whole ordeal, would not give that Laura, the journalist, the time of day.
Well, and this is totally, this goes with my theory that there is a mysterious alphabet agency that is basically has hierarchy somehow, and that people they can't come out right and say it, and they're either being like intimidated or something's going on definitely behind the scenes.
Informational versus Q&A. So my intent today is to provide some clarification on some outstanding issues out there in the public forum on reference timeline, fuel tanks, a couple other items. And then I'll provide the opportunity for SAC Rouse of the FBI to address the audience, and then we'll have a closing of the conference. Okay? And a couple of these items I will read from the narrative.
Okay, is it just me, or is he extremely nervous and like out of breath?
Hey, he's kind of like me right now. I don't usually go live, so I can understand his place.
No, but he's done this. He hasn't acted this way in previous press conferences. I've watched.
Looks like he's acting like if he doesn't do what he's told, something's bad's gonna happen.
That's what it seems like to me too.
Yeah, like he's really on eggshells at the moment.
He looks like he could have a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's kind of fuzzy, so it's not really HD. So it's not like we can like zoom in on his head to see if there's sweat and stuff there. But I guarantee you, this man's sweating. So I just wanted to
like this. Sorry.
Yeah, he's breathing very hard. So.
Because I don't want my comments to be construed or changed. So I wanted to ensure the accuracy of that. But most of this conference will be done strictly through my narrative provided to you. Okay? Okay, first and foremost, I want to give you an update on the injuries. This has been a big deal on my mind, as it has been the public. And I think it's important for you to be given an accurate picture of what is occurring associated with the injuries of the 1 October event. So as of 8 o'clock this morning, I was updated with the most current. Back up just a minute. In the early throes of this tragedy, I had advised each and every one of you that items of information were going to change. The dynamics of this investigation is far-reaching, it's wide, it's huge, and you can't expect exact answers in the early throes. My intent in the early throes were to give you the information to provide that calmness in the community to ensure that we didn't have a second player or a third player out hiding in the community intending to cause us harm. So there was no integrity question associated with that, as I've experienced through the.
What is he talking about?
Questioning my integrity.
He's like losing track.
Information as I knew it, and everybody in here knew it was going to change. So we will get through that. I'm not giving you 100% satisfaction associated with what I'm going to give you today, because I think some of that's going to change. And we will not know that until we're completed with this investigation. So back to where we were. I think it's important for the community of Clark County to realize we use 17 separate medical facilities to accommodate the injuries associated with this event. And that speaks volumes for the medical community here in Las Vegas, in Clark County. And it seems to be lost in the narrative associated with this, that it was strictly a public safety, fire, and police event. No, it was including the medical community. And I think it's important for me to give them their due respect. So 17 separate medical facilities. Today's numbers, 546 reported injuries. 501 of those have been discharged. In other words, they responded to a medical facility, they were treated for their wounds, and subsequently left to seek healing process wherever they chose to do so. 58 is still the number of individuals that have died. This is an important piece. 45 individuals are still hospitalized. Some of those are in critical condition. So 58 may raise. By the grace of God, it doesn't. And we shall continue to move forward. The medical profession will provide all the medical care necessary, but sometimes it's people meet their demise outside of our control. So I'm hoping that number does not raise. Today's number is 58. The fuel tanks. I'm going to read this narrative so my words do not get changed.
What fuel tanks is he talking about? Do you all know about that?
I don't, and it's funny how he keeps saying narrative. It's just it's like really like coordinated what he's saying, like he was told to say this.
Narrative, right?
He also made the comment, I don't want anything that I've said to be misconstrued or changed. I mean, how can you change what he says on a press conference?
Well, also look at the way he's speaking to the in this video. You don't even see his eyes really at all. It's almost like someone lying.
It is.
Well, he's probably reading the script.
Well, yeah, but I mean, most people, even if they're reading a script, something they got to read, they're taught, and people like him, he's taught to give speeches. You look periodically to the camera or the people.
Oh yeah, you periodically look up. Yes,
yeah. I mean, everybody knows that. That's like speech 101 in like ninth grade or something.
He seems like shameful. Like something like he to me it seems like he's being disingenuous or he's being deceptive, and he is he's the face of this, and to me it seems like he's under a lot of stress, and there's people that are above him that are telling him to do something, and that's what it kind of seems like to me.
Kind of like playing that game of I want to tell the truth, but I know if I do, I'm in deep doo.
Well, it's just like the way that he's doing everything. It seems really, I don't know. It's like, what is this about fuel tanks now? What is he going on about fuel tanks?
It's the first I've heard about it. So let's see what he has to say.
But I want to provide you some information reference to the fuel tanks. It is believed the fuel tanks were fired upon with intent. McCarran's leaders have safety protocols in place, which they re-examine following any safety-related incident. The leaders have already contacted experts in fuel storage out of the abundance of caution. I am more than confident that they will immediately implement any changes or security augmentations if they are so advised. I have been advised there is a very low probability that aviation fuel could be ignited by gunfire, and the tanks are outfitted for continual release of vapors. So that is the situation of the fuel tanks. Any future information needs to be provided, reference that will be provided by the Public Information Office.
Vapors? Did he say aviation fuel tanks?
Yes, he did. But he doesn't think it'll ignite. That's a good thing, right?
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't even know what he's talking about.
I have no idea.
Airport. McLaren Airport International. That's crazy. I didn't even hear such a thing.
So what is he talking about though?
I'm confused, you guys.
I have no idea. No idea. What we'll do is after the press conference, we'll look into it.
All right.
Wow.
Out of McCarran Airport. The dates of the 25th versus the 28th. This was not breaking news, no matter who believed it to be so in this form. We were aware of the discrepancy of the 28th versus the 25th in the early parts of this investigation. What we weren't aware of is why the date of the 28th was utilized in the early portion of this, as I was provided this information as part of the person registered in the suspect's room.
Okay. Wasn't he the one that told everybody he checked in on the 28th? So if he was advised early on in this investigation, so he is actually the one that made a discrepancy, because if he knew,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
On the 25th, why did he say 28th?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's being deceptive.
He's contradicting himself.
It seems
very
like
much so.
It seems like they're almost doing this on purpose. This is
wait, it gets better.
This is an actual way that you gaslight like an entire population, is you just put out like where it's so you can't keep track and you don't know what's going on. That's a way to kind of stunt people from not paying attention, because they have no idea what, like, you know, how to follow it.
And by the time this interview is over, which, I mean, we kind of already see, but by the time this interview is over, we will be able to see exactly why he did not want Laura Loomer in the room, because she obviously is not scared to ask any type of question. The stuff that needs to be asked. So
we have come to learn the suspect did occupy the room on the 25th, and the situation on how the room was compensated or paid for had changed, and the name as part of the registration had changed on the 28th to include Mary Lou Danley. So that was the confusion associated with that. No matter what the perception is, whether we were being non-transparent or we were attempting to be subversive, is
he just said it. Whether we were being non-transparent or trying to be, what did he say?
Subversive. Yeah, no, I'm saying, yeah, he's intentionally
changed on the 28th to include Mary Lou Danley.
So he added her on the 28th to be able to come into the hotel room, is basically what he did. He just added her on the 28th. He checked in on the 25th, and then he added Mary Lou onto the registration for the room for her to be able to come if needed.
Right, but
on the 28th.
They obviously one check with them. They would obviously have this information. Why they would say when they already know that when he first checked in, why they would say 3 days after he's been there that was his first day. You see, they're just lying. It's continuous lying.
Yep, they're trying to cover the tracks that have already been stompled upon.
I think more of a way to just be gaslighting and just put out
confusion.
Confusion, yeah.
Yeah, and if people are confused, they can't track it, especially ones that are already like going, oh, whatever, you know.
Well, it just makes them look worse. You know,
I don't think they care about that, and I think that he's obviously the face of the narrative, and they basically put him up there to burn. They don't care.
No, they don't.
And he knows that.
Now, I've only watched 9 minutes of this. Okay. And in the 9 minutes that I watched, that's what made me decide to go ahead and do this live broadcast tonight, because people need to see that narrative changing. And I do think he actually says, hey, it may change again. So the investigation's not over. So let's just watch this, and we'll try to keep the pausing limited, but some things are just too hard too good to not stop and commentate. So here we go.
Associated with that, no matter what the perception is, whether we were being non-transparent or we were attempting to be subversive, is false. I was acting on the information at the time I was provided it. The autopsy. Yes, there has been an autopsy performed on Mr. Paddock, or the suspect. In the early evaluation, there was no abnormalities observed visually. As a matter of practice in the forensic science, his brain has been shipped to an appropriate evaluation facility in order to take a microscopic evaluation of the brain. So the initial that there was.
Didn't he blow his brains out? So how is that even going to help?
This is intentional. I mean, they're saying that there's no visual evidence. Didn't he blow his brains out? I mean, come on. They're intentionally being this way. To me, it's obvious, but whatever.
Was no abnormalities, was a visual inspection of his brain. So it's yet to be known whether there is any abnormalities to be presented at a later date.
Well, yeah, there would have been abnormalities. He blew his brains out. So that's a lie right there. There was no visual abnormalities. Are you kidding me?
They're doing this on
He got
purpose.
in his mouth and blew his brains out. Or somebody made him lie on the floor and do it, because did you notice his body on the floor? There was a gun with a tripod over top of his leg.
Here we go.
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, there's a gun on a tripod over top of his left leg.
Wow, that's crazy. Left leg,
Yeah.
left being, just looking at that point, So, no, that's just, honestly, James had mentioned this, but, I'm kind of like with James, but you guys are more further along with this. However, after the first maybe like 3 days, I followed along pretty good. And then after a while, I kind of dropped off, because there's so many signs, so many different things about it. So, I'm just like,
That's the tactic that they're going with, D.
Yep. And so I fell for what a lot of people did, is, well, we have all the symptoms, the recipe for this disaster and this crisis. We know what's going on. So then, now I'm getting back into this. I'm going, holy smokes.
Yep.
There is so much more being added to it. You cannot dismiss this as what they want you to believe.
That's exactly why I had to do this. It's just too much. And what they're trying to also do is run all this deep into the ground to where people don't even want to watch it, don't want to hear about it. But we cannot let this go. All this discrepancies, all the lies. They want to hide it. They want to, make us think, oh, I'm sick of hearing about it. No, we kind of like 9/11.
Yeah.
We cannot shut it up.
No, because what it does is it causes people to be molded. Oh, this is normal. This is life now.
No, but what I think is people are waking up. This is causing people to wake up and see all the discrepancies and the lies being shown. And this is actually a good thing.
Well,
there's a silver lining in everything. And this is the silver lining in this, because in my opinion, he was a patsy. I mean, he had everything going for him. Why in the world would he do this? Even what his brother said. The first interview with his brother was kind of, distant, didn't really want to speak. He was in shock. The second and third interview his brother was like, oh my gosh, I really hope that they do an autopsy and find a tumor in his brain, because, just because he was a quiet, kind of reserved person, it doesn't make him a murderer.
Well, his brother was shady. It seems like I saw that's another thing that right off the bat I was like, all right, this is shady all over the place. I saw his brother completely switch.
Right.
Like, all right.
Yep. But
if we could watch that later interview, the second one, where his brother is just going on about it basically seems they're putting these people in front of the camera because you need to have these people in front of the camera, but it seems like they intentionally are putting people out to make you want to think that it's no one that I've talked to is buying anything. Everybody is like, there's something up. They're doing this on purpose, whether this is a tactic or they just want to basically gaslight the entire viewing public or whatever their tactic is.
Well,
or
I'll
they
tell you
know that no one can do anything because of the chain of command or whatever.
I tell you what, they keep it up, and the whole world is going to wake up because of this. Or whether
Well,
I don't know if they're trying to cause a civil war or what, but I mean, this right here is waking people up to the point to where, you know, I mean, the thing, but yet, then again, you know, people look up to sheriff. This guy standing right here is a sheriff. People look to sheriff for truth versus the PD. Because sheriff are typically against, you know, like right wing and stuff like that. You know, the sheriff can do things that the regular PD cannot. So that's why
they're using. They want the sheriff to be looking like he's coming out and lying. Maybe they're trying to disgrace. Maybe this is a whole thing with they want to disgrace the local PD and they're going to federalize it or something. There's an agenda going on. They're doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's discredit. It plays with everybody's emotions. A bunch of people are just going to go, oh, please get on with it and just move on. It's going to wake up a bunch of people.
Because there's people, if you listen to people, the way that they talk about it, they have to preempt it by saying, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this really seems like a conspiracy theory. They're scared to be like, well, this doesn't seem right. It's so in your face that I believe that it is a tactic they are using. It's just, there's no way that it's not. It's like they can't be this stupid.
Well, yeah, it look at it as like kind of like a test on everybody to see how they respond and react. Look at it as how much can we play with people's emotions, let alone discredit more of what we look to for our security and public safety. You know, PD or sheriff. What's next? What's next? And at the same time, it's almost like being smacked and laughed in our faces.
Yeah.
And going, well, you had your time to do something about it. Now it's almost too late. You know, however they feel, however they think. That's the way it seems.
Just the simple fact that they allowed certain people in the press inside and certain ones out, kept them out, shows that they are hiding more stuff. They don't want to be asked certain questions. It's like they have to follow the narrative. And maybe the people that are in, you know, who knows, there might not be any press in. You know, I haven't got that far. But this is not something I could pass up and not speak on because it's that bad. Like I said, I've only watched 9 minutes of it. It's 22 minutes long. So just listen.
Now the timeline. Unfortunately, a great deal of my investigators' time has been preoccupied on this timeline. In the public space, the word incompetence has been brought forward, and I am absolutely offended with that characterization. This is a very dynamic event, a very big event. Thousands of people involved, humans involved in documentation.
Did you catch that? Humans are involved.
That's an interesting choice of words, or a word.
The whole thing is interesting. The way that they're doing everything. The wording is very.
Keywords.
And he brings up incompetence as if to say, if you're not already feeling like we're incompetent, please feel like we are incompetent, because that's what we're trying to show is incompetence.
Definitely.
Keep it rolling. Okay? Okay.
Okay. Hey, James, you have any more to speak until she gets it rolling again?
I was just wanting to see, did she get cut off or something?
I don't know. It still says live. Oh, cut off.
Yeah, she got cut off.
Yep. Well, you're still there. And it's still live. It'll cut out what after how long?
I don't know. I mean, so we'll see if she comes back. But I wanted to catch the rest of that news conference. But I definitely believe at this point that they're intentionally trying to make the people that are in front of the camera be incompetent, so that there's no doubt it's being pushed that there's incompetence going on. Okay, are you gonna go with the rest of the video or what?
Yeah, I got cut off, man. I didn't even know I had it playing. I just pulled it up on my phone and heard you all talking, and I was like, whoa.
That's all good. You're back. Thank you for coming back.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me get this going again.
I hear the word. Pardon.
Do what?
Anyway, I hear the word incompetence. That's just as bad as deplorables, or all the different keywords that's been used through the time frame.
Let me refresh my chat here. Okay.
Are we still live?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
They're definitely going to cut this this live stream off, probably.
Oh yeah, most
That's probably what
definitely.
they're doing right now, trying to cut it off.
Statement provided
Here.
yesterday and interviews. Officer Campos himself to be presented at a later date. Now the timeline. Unfortunately, a great deal of my investigators' time has been preoccupied on this timeline. In the public space, the word incompetence has been brought forward, and I am absolutely offended with that characterization. This is a very dynamic event.
Yeah.
Very big, thousands of people involved, humans involved in documentation, and every venue of information involved in this investigation.
What did he say? Information?
So the information was obtained via security logs, Officer Campos himself, body-worn cameras, hotel cameras, lock interrogation, my dispatch, LVMPD dispatch, hotel and private cameras, and interviews. So imagine bringing all together to ensure that we are drawing an accurate picture. So I'll provide you a little more information on that. I still stand by the time of 21:59, 9:59. It's important that you continue to listen to me.
Oh, wow.
9:59 is important. It wasn't inaccurate when I provided to you. The circumstances associated with it is inaccurate. Okay? I am very well aware of the MGM statement provided yesterday. I agree with their statement. I'm not in conflict with their statement. But here's what I will tell you. We were provided the time of 21:59 as a human entry into a security log. Through investigation, we have determined that Mr. Campos had encountered the barricaded door adjacent to the suspect's door at approximately 21:59. In his attempt to gain entry to the 32nd floor, he required him to ascend to another level and eventually make access to the 32nd floor. He went to the doorway that he was dispatched to originally to address the open doorway. He mitigated that situation and subsequently received fire from the suspect. When you culminate that timeline associated from the initial 2159 to the 2205 timeline that we're still standing by as the initial volley of fire, Mr. Campos received his wounds in close proximity to 2205.
Okay, pause it.
To relay that information via his radio. And
all right, so
Yep.
now all of a sudden the security guard is an officer because he said Officer Campos. Now the guy's an officer. And with all this timeline talk, it's like they're purposely trying to confuse and it's just it doesn't seem they're doing this on total purpose. Can you see what I'm saying? Did you guys catch when he said Officer Campos? This guy wasn't an officer.
No, he
thought
has
he was-
no right to call him an officer. He's a security guard.
And he's
I thought
not
he
even
was-
that.
He's maintenance, hotel maintenance.
Oh, is
And
that
the
what he
only
was?
reason he initially went up, he didn't hear shots. He initially went up because he heard a drilling noise.
Oh, okay.
And then he saw a door was ajar, left opened. So he didn't even hear any shots.
And now they're
And
saying that they're going on different floors to gain access. What in the hell is going on? See, they're doing this on purpose. They're intentionally trying to make it as convoluted and put all these timelines and all these time whatevers together and just completely make it a mind F, like a mind.
Shitstorm.
Yeah.
Shitstorm. Yeah.
Well,
How does the
and
timeline change?
then like he'll use the wording, the key words human, human logged, human.
That's what I
all
said
that
when it
stuff.
got cut off. I said humans. Did you all hear that? Why did he say humans?
Yep.
That's exactly when it cut off because I didn't get no response from you all. And I was like, oh okay.
No, we were talking amongst ourselves after you dropped off.
I didn't even know I dropped off. So
Yeah, that's all good. But yeah, that's interesting key words. And what do you guys think when you hear the key word human, like humans or human logged?
It seems like they're intentionally trying to bring about conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
something.
but there's no such thing as conspiracy in many ways. I mean, right? Or is there?
They're trying to draw as much attention and bring about. Basically, to me, it seems very obvious that they want you to be completely confused, completely thinking that there's something else going on, and they're making it like overkill.
Here's the thing about the timeline changing. A timeline does not change. You can add events in with different times, but the initial timeline should not change. A timeline is a timeline regardless. It can have stuff added in with different times, but you cannot change initial time of shooting, 10 minutes later than when it actually was. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
Like they have a behavioral scientist or behavioral analysis person writing up this script to intentionally make it as convoluted and harebrained and confusing as possible. And to me, it seems like they're doing a definite gaslight situation. Definitely, 100%.
Yep.
Well, yeah. And on top of it, okay, I used to be a security back in the day, and yeah, I was always taught you don't open your mouth about anything until so like when you're doing your little report, I was never anything special, but when you do your little report, if you need to talk to the authorities, or whatever, it's pretty much probably same for PD, same for sheriff, same for many different areas of recording timelines and information of events. but you don't say nothing unless you have the proof right there. And see, what they're doing is they're coming out and telling stuff, and then oops, this didn't go on. They're reversing it. Scratch this, add this.
They're intentionally misleading and making it. They're contradicting themselves, and then coming out and then being mad that people are confused, and then he came out and going, "I take offense to this." This is written in a behavioral standpoint of gaslighting the public, because he's the one that's putting out the information. People are tuning in to hear this guy tell the facts, and then he's intentionally getting all the facts mixed up, coming back around, and then almost blaming the public for being confused and being incompetent. That's what it seems like to me. It's an overkill to want you to make you think, first of all, there's all this stuff that doesn't make sense. There's incompetence all over the place, and they're shoving it in your face.
It's almost like he's believing his lies too, and then he's getting confused on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He doesn't realize the reason they are calling him incompetent is because he's acting incompetent. He's acting like a scared little puppy, and that if he doesn't say the right things at the right time, he's gonna have what's the word I need? Something on his head. Like they're gonna come get him. I mean, he needs to quit acting so scared and just tell the damn truth. Then people won't call him incompetent.
Well, it seems like they're intentionally wanting people to make you seem that they're incompetent. That's the actual purpose. We don't know if this guy's in on it. People think that this guy was put up. This guy could be a Fed, for all we know. You know what I mean? It's like, who knows? Or it could be a sheriff and be in on it. It doesn't matter what. He could be a local sheriff and be in on it. It doesn't matter. He's not like a good guy.
Whatever it is, he is the one in charge of everything, and everybody looks to him for the words, the answers, the numbers, what's going on. And through this whole thing, he's stumbling, he's messing up, and he sounds like he's about ready to put his tail through his legs and run for the hills.
I'm sorry, though, but correct me if I'm wrong, but once FBI gets involved, they're not even supposed to, sheriff, PD, are not even supposed to speak on it. Am I right?
I think you're right. I think it would be FBI or somebody that does that.
Yeah, I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that once FBI gets involved in an investigation, it's all them. So
right.
maybe
I don't think that
information from FBI. I don't know, but I didn't think he would even be able to still speak on the matter.
That, you got that right, I believe, because I remember all the other events that's happened in the last couple of years, and look at the whole ordeal in Oregon, Southern Oregon. It was at first it was the sheriff, but then when it went transferred to the FBI had to talk. The sheriff had really no say. He was kind of helping add things, but it was the higher up authorities, the federal.
And maybe that's why he's so nervous. I don't know. But
that seems a little backwards. What do you think, James?
I think this is a whole. They're doing the effect they want to have the people. They're doing exactly that. They're intentionally wanting this reaction. Now, I don't know the reasons why, but they're intentionally wanting this to be what we see.
Is it maybe something to keep people's eyes off of other things, to focus and lose track?
I think it's a way to gaslight.
Yep.
I think it's a total way when you are completely put out with this and you're looking to this guy with authority and this kind of behavior comes out. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people have dropped their attention on this. To me, that is manufactured. That's scientifically manufactured. Because what else can you do?
It's not going to go away.
Yeah, this ain't going away. This is going to keep going for a while. And
there's too many discrepancies. as far as everything involved, whether who's talking or not, and more stuff just keeps coming up coincidentally, and I don't believe in coincidences.
No,
That you get more and more information added to it. Yeah, that might change things, but they need to quit gaslighting, and they need to just tell the truth. They need to learn to tell the truth, and they need to learn that the public is capable and are very much needing to be aware.
They know the public is capable. That's the reason why they're doing this.
Right, exactly. But we're over. I'm not saying that we're bigger than them, but when you've researched these things for years and you know what to look for, they can't throw the wool over our eyes like they're trying to do. And I do think that this is helping wake a lot of people up to all the lies that are being told.
Yeah, I see it too.
Because we have utter corruption at the top. Utter corruption.
Exactly.
At this point, the light has been shed on them. And this is just once they know that they are completely corrupted, this is a tactic that they use that they don't care.
You know, one thing I just thought of, they also don't want to scare people away from Vegas. Vegas is a big money-making organization for the government, for the state of Vegas. You know, Las Vegas.
People aren't going to sue the shit out of them for this.
Well, there already are. Victims are already starting to sue, and we'll get into that later. But let's finish this. We're halfway through it. It's got about 12 more minutes, and then we'll, commentate on that. But yeah, I did see something earlier as far as victims are suing. Rightfully so.
All right.
It was confirmed because he also relayed that information via his cell phone. So the timeline associated.
I'm going to rewind that real quick. I don't know what he's talking about.
To relay that information via standby as the initial volley of fire, Mr. Camp's situation, and subsequently received fire from the suspect, and eventually make access to the 32nd floor. He went to the doorway that he was dispatched to originally to address the open doorway. He mitigated that situation and subsequently received fire from the suspect. When you culminate that timeline associated from the initial 2159 to the 2205 timeline that we're still standing by as the initial volley of fire, Mr. Campos received his wounds in close proximity to 2205. He attempted to relay that information via his radio, and it was confirmed because he also relayed that information via his cell phone. So the timeline associated with both of those sources have been verified. 2205, the number that was provided earlier, referenced the majority of fire upon our community. We still stand by that time, and that was done by the combination of different sources that I listed for you earlier. 2217, 12 minutes. That is when our officers first arrived on the 32nd floor. 12 minutes. You are very well aware the suspect fired at approximately 10 minutes. Upon our arrival on the 32nd floor, the firing had ceased. We did not believe we had continually had an active shooter. At that point, we conducted evacuations of the rooms adjacent to the suspect's room, and you know the rest. So there is no conspiracy between the FBI, between LVMPD and the MGM. Nobody is attempting to hide anything. Investigation. The dynamics and the size of this investigation requires us to go through voluminous amounts of information in order to draw an accurate picture. My intent, like I stated earlier, is to give you information as I know it, unverified, to calm the public.
Unverified?
Yeah.
Establish a legal case.
Not a legal case, huh?
Everybody understand that?
No, repeat
No
yourself.
questions, sir.
What? No questions, sir.
Now we're going to get into future of the investigation.
How do you know if anybody's there?
I don't want to put a percentage of responsibility associated with this investigation because it would not make sense. But I'm here to tell you we are standing hand in hand with the FBI in the continuance of this investigation, in the beginning throes of it and in the continuance of it. Our portion at LVMPD has become contracted. My concern was the initial safety of the community, whether we had any other bad actors out there that we had to address. And I feel confident there are no other individuals intending to cause harm to our community associated with the 1 October event. Now it's become protracted. And that's where the FBI has their expertise. We are establishing the timeline of the suspect's life, his motivation, and everybody else associated with him throughout time. It requires us to rely on the FBI's resources for that success. Nobody's acquiescing in my department to this. I am not acquiescing, and nor is the FBI coming in with a hammer and attempting to take over. This will continue to be a joint operation.
Protracted, acquiescing.
I'm going to give the opportunity for Aaron Rouse to provide some statements.
What'd you say, James?
What a load of shit. Nothing, just keep it going.
Do you know what protracted means?
It just seems like it's intentionally just It's just bunch of just words and nonsense.
Protracted by the FBI, lasting for a long time or longer than expected or usual. A protracted and bitter dispute. Prolonged, long-lasting, extended, long, drawn out, spun out, dragged out, strung out, lengthy, long, and formal, marathon. Weeks of protracted negotiations.
Isn't that what all the events lately have been in the last so many years anyway? I mean, you know, we're still waiting to hear a lot of other things on many things. You know what I mean? Whether it's within our political government, you know, and our politics, or whether it's on any level, it's all protracted. It's all long stretched, and nobody ever gets the answers.
And they make it the narrative so that there are so many questions years down the road that we'll never know the truth to.
And they never answer them. They just dodge them and
I
move
mean,
on.
How do we even know there's anybody in the room to ask questions? I didn't hear anything. He said, no questions, sir.
Yep. That's why I said, wow, how do you know if anybody's in there? Let alone, think about this. Transparency. That's what the word gets tossed around. What is the definition of transparency? I can't speak. Transparency. Isn't that to be open and let everybody know as much as they should?
Right. This is
not transparent.
No, it is not.
No questions, no answers. They're answering what they want to answer.
Well, that's the way it's
what corruption looks like.
Yeah. This is what corruption looks like.
Yep. And, you know, I was going to say this earlier before we continue, but this is basically the beginning of the storm in many ways, because what this is doing is it's exposing all this truth to people that don't know or don't care. People are starting to wake up. When they start waking up, then fingers are going to get pointed, and then it's really going to expose. And then what happens? Well, you have a lot of angry people on the other end.
That's what I said from the beginning.
I
don't know if this is going to cause civil war or what, but I think
that is a civil war, Kay.
It is. I mean,
you're watching a civil war take place.
Right.
It's within the government. It's within the ranks. It's within all the agencies. It's obvious. They came in and they shot up a bunch of right wing type of job, like a country music festival.
Right.
And this is pretty obvious that it was coming. This is like a definite left-leaning operation. They came in, they shot up, and now you're seeing it being covered up right in front of your eyes with a bunch of gaslighting and BS.
Right.
Well, let alone the numbers. I mean, numbers mean a lot to a lot of different people. There's a lot of crazy numbers mixed in on this, keywords, kind of like message within a message within a message. I mean, people don't know it. They're going to start waking up and saying, whoa, I've seen that number multiple times now. What does it mean?
Did you
Or I've
also
seen this
notice,
word multiple times. What is that mean?
notice that he's using strictly military time? And I'm sorry, but not everyone knows military time unless you've worked with military time. And it's just another thing to confuse people.
Exactly.
It is. But also on top of it, the police force, security, military, law enforcement, the ones that are supposed to be there for the people, they have a tendency to do the military time or the 24-hour time frame because
But the first couple
it's what
conferences, they were not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're flip-flopping back and forth, and it's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
He's flip-flopping between Mr. Campos, Security Campos, Officer Campos. That's the whole intention. That's why I'm saying that behavioral analysis of this, to me, it seems like a behavioral psychologist wrote this script, and it's a perfect script to scramble and gaslight everybody watching. That's what I'm going with.
In one of the prior press conferences, someone asked him, and I don't know if it was Laura Loomer or what, but it was a female that asked him, is Jesus Campos, is he missing in action? Where is he? And he would not comment. I will not comment on that. And then another person asked him if Paddock was a part of the FBI, like an agent of the FBI. And he said, I will not confirm nor deny that. Well, my goodness.
Well, at least put an answer out there, at least something. Come on. Right?
Now, when you say I cannot confirm nor deny that, that's
a toss-up.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. They're intentionally wanting people to make
They're causing conspiracy theories.
And then their tactic is to come out and then go, there is no conspiracy, and make people that have never got into conspiracies or whatever for them to internally have a struggle because they don't want to be a quote unquote conspiracy theorist. They're shoving in your face. They're gaslighting. It's a
psychological warfare.
It's psychological warfare. This is psychological warfare 101. Yeah.
And then on top of it, James, you already basically said a big chunk of it, and that is it's almost like some psychologist, some educator, somebody who does this for a living, literally wrote the script. And then on top of it, they're making these people feel like nuts, like I'm a conspiracy theorist now, but no, I'm fighting it. Well, what's going to happen is when people start waking up and start going, yeah, there's something going on here, then, oh, you got a mental illness.
Right.
That's why mental illness
is going to label everybody.
Months and months ago.
Right. Don't ask, don't tell, right?
Well, it keeps people shut up. It keeps their mouth shut. It makes it where people don't want to speak or say anything. Which isn't that our First Amendment anyway, to be able to voice simple things as long as it doesn't hurt anybody.
No, because now you have corporations that are in charge like YouTube, and they will shut your First Amendment right up. People say, oh, well, you don't have the First Amendment on corporate platforms. That's why there needs to be, there's regulation where you don't need regulation, and then there's no regulation where you honestly do need regulation.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, so let's watch the last 5 minutes of this.
7 minutes.
Ed stepping in.
Thank you, Sheriff. I am Aaron Rouse. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for the FBI in Las Vegas. In support of our partner, from the beginning, we have established our 7-day-a-week command post with agents, analysts, task force officers, and many support personnel. We have deployed over 200 employees from across the FBI to Las Vegas, including many with specialized positions. Globally, we have hundreds of agents covering every facet of this investigation. Nothing will be overlooked. We have made significant progress. To date, we have found no signs of ideology or affiliation to any groups. Hundreds of interviews have been conducted so far. Close to 2,000 leads have been covered so far. Extensive review of digital media on a multitude of devices is ongoing. Over 1,000 pieces of evidence have been collected.
Okay, pause it.
The FBI.
They they wiped people's devices that were there on the scene. So just wanted that they're saying that they've looked over all this stuff. Yeah, well, they wiped people's devices that were there at the scene.
They stingrayed them.
Yep.
Yeah, and let alone what did they save? As a possibility. I mean, what did they choose to keep? But yeah, that's crazy. And what is it? 2,000 leads.
Right. In 2000.
Lead a direction of part of the case. That's a lot of directions that case went. If you said 2,000, if I heard correctly.
And 2,000
of
evidence. I mean, where are all the gun casings? All that was on the floor were regular unused bullets. There was no empty brass gun cases on that floor. They were all bullets with tips.
So
that's like what you were supposed to find. That was supposed to go to the news agencies. That was supposed to be reported on. Like you said, the real shooting probably came from somewhere else. The helicopter, I like that. To me, the helicopter seems totally legitimate. If there was something that went on as far as all these people dying and they really came in like that, because I can't say one way or another I know what went on. If there was people that really, died, people say yes, people say no. But if they did, what I'm inclined to believe is they really did, but they swept in there with the helicopter. And this
and all the gun casings are inside the helicopter, where they also were able to project a non-flashing muzzle load. And again, you can hear the helicopter. I'm sorry, if a helicopter is above my house, I can hear it from miles away, and when it gets closer, it's close.
And they didn't
hear that in the videos.
Use any regular helicopter. That they put on whisper mode. Yeah,
you could still hear it though. And people thought it was other gunfire as well. That's what it sounded like. Additional gunfire. And I saw a video earlier, right when the shooting started. They tried to say that that there was no single shots, that it just people started running because Jason Aldean gave them a heads up that there was a shooting. I'm sorry, but there was 3 or 4 single shots that happened before the automatic weapons started shooting. And if you ask me, in my opinion, that was the helicopter near the hotel shooting out the windows.
I think it was actually firecrackers.
Who knows?
Well, and there's actually a video that shows people, and they have people, because then right in your mind you hear firecrackers, probably a signal for people that were waiting for it. That was when you hear fireworks, that's when the shooting is about to begin, right before the helicopter swoops in, to let people that know that it's time to get behind cover or whatever.
What about the Asian couple that was escorted out because they were warning people were going to die?
Right.
Because maybe some people may have caught wind that maybe
exactly. They knew that it was a drill, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh my God, this is a drill that's going live! Like they're really going to take these people out."
Yeah, and then on top of
Well,
it,
if they had enough guts to warn people at the concert themselves, they need to come out, or maybe they were dealt with. Maybe they're gone. Maybe they got a hit. Who knows? You would think we'd hear from them.
Yeah, you think you'd
Some
hear
type of
something.
social media.
Why? Well, they're censoring all over social media. What? Look at how they're censoring. Why do you think it's going to come out? They just shut your channel down if they don't like what you're saying.
Yep.
I've been censored, and I'm not talking about anything that people that aren't in tune don't already know. And I've been censored on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. All three of them.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying this right now on the record. If you are the one that was at that concert warning people that they were going to die, please contact me. Yeah, and I will do a one-on-one interview with you, and I will not censor you.
You're probably dead, kid.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Either that, or they're being silenced, like in a building somewhere or out of the country.
Underground bunker somewhere. They're in the dumbs.
You know, it's just crazy. I mean, you know, the thing is that it from the beginning to the end, you know, I mean, we're pretty much done with this whole video thing, you know, what he's saying. But, you know, look at this FBI guy. You know, he looks like an actor to me. The way he talks,
he's
the way
reading
he
a complete script.
Pardon?
He's reading a script.
Well, but I mean, just the way he's coming off, you know,
right. His whole demeanor, yeah.
His demeanor, the way he is, he's like, it's like he's done it like a lot, you know, like an actor, a professional actor. They can just turn that switch on and just get up there to that podium and be like really cool and slick, you know what I'm saying? It's just almost like he's either one, he's got that script memorized really good, he's really comfortable, and he can do that role. That's just the way I look at it, like an actor. He just doesn't seem like, you know, the typical gentleman to get up there and in his role that he is as the FBI and to do that. Well,
let's just see what else he has to say and see how he acts, because he's smooth sailing right now.
Yeah.
You might get nervous when he talks about certain things, so we'll just keep an eye on it.
Laboratory. Hours and hours of video footage from hotels continues to be reviewed. FBI victim specialists from across the country are here assisting victims and families of the victims. More than 1,800 victim questionnaires have been completed, and the return of personal property continues. We continue to ask you, if you have factual information in furtherance of this investigation, please call us.
Yeah, right.
If you say something. The number is 1-800-CALL-FBI. The FBI, nor our partner, we don't rush to conclusions. We ask for your patience and will not comment on specifics of this investigation while it's in process. This is in keeping with the long-standing FBI tradition. As I said from the beginning, this is our city. It is your city. Las Vegas is a resilient city, a microcosm of a resilient nation. While we grieve as a community, we will use that energy to learn as much as we can about this horrible crime so that we may prevent another one from happening. I thank you. Thank you, Aaron. So before we close out today, I want to provide you another written narrative. I want to read verbatim in support. In other words, bring a better light to what's occurred and the carnage that is associated with our community. There's some bright spots, and I don't want anybody to take offense when I've completed my comments today. There's 1,000 heroes out there, but I'm going to bring it home to my department, and I think it's important for you to hear it. So The first narrative. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, Sergeant Garrett Everett arrived at Reno and Haven and saw the need for medical triage area. For hours, Sergeant Everett and other LVMPD officers, along with the off-duty nurses, paramedics, and firefighters, triaged at least 50 gunshot victims. They ran out of tourniquets and began using anything they could find to stop the bleeding, to include their own hobble devices they used during the normal course of their duties. These officers calmly took care of the wounded and the dying as they waited for medical transport, at times placing the critical victims on the backs of trucks so they could get them to the hospital quickly. Not all the victims made it out as the night wore on. Those same officers were assigned to guard the deceased victims, not allowing any of them to be left alone. So the undersheriff and myself, Kevin McMahill, took it upon ourselves to go out and visit some of my officers yesterday to discuss their mental state, to thank them, and check on their overall condition. These particular officers sustained some substantial wounds, and some of them you have heard in the public forum already, and some you haven't. But there's a couple key individuals I want you to write about. And one of them is Brady Cook. Brady sustained 4 separate gunshot wounds. And when I say separate, that's entries and exits. It's not actually 4 separate bullets. And an important piece on Brady is the suspect was fired upon the crowd. As our officers started to arrive via vehicles, which Brady was occupying one, it is readily apparent to me that he adjusted his fire and directed it toward the police vehicles. So the response of those individuals, I believe, saved lives. No matter what his personal vendetta is against the police or not, maybe he was preventing the wolf from getting to his door sooner than later, but he chose to fire upon the police vehicles. Brady sustained a substantial wound to his shoulder, through his bicep, into his chest, and out his back. And the reason why I bring this one up, he asked me if he could go back to work today. Samuel Whitworth. Excuse me for my emotion.
Using emotions against you.
Samuel was laying on his couch with a very intensive wound to his leg. During the melee and his attempt to evacuate victims, he sustained a broken leg, but he remained on scene and provided security for the medical personnel.
Speaking of broken legs, did either of you two watch the taxi cab footage where she picked up those people that were in need of medical care at first? Did you pay attention that the guy, when he was wanting to get into the car, he said, broken leg, broken leg? And then she asked them, the people in the back of the car, the passengers, she said, well, don't I need to take you all to a hospital? And they're like, no, we just need to go to the nearest hotel. So the broken leg was a big lie just to get into the car, I guess.
Or they're saying what they rehearsed in an active shooter situation, and they're part of the active live actors that they were rehearsed to be a broken leg or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Because the driver did not bring up broken leg again. And then they were getting attitude with her. Aren't you going to apologize, for what you said because she questioned the whole thing? Well, it seems to me like that taxi cab driver is pretty wide awake for her to even question it. And I don't know if she was listening to a police scanner or an internal taxi scanner or what, but they first said what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. stuff that seems normal is not really all that normal.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I actually lived there for like 3 or 4 months at one point in my life, and that city is literally full of actors and actresses. I mean, because of the shows and all that they have going on there. It's like kind of like a mini Hollywood, whether it's music industry or kind of like business and the hotels and whatnot. That city is full of famous people or people that are trying to start out their careers or already have their careers going.
Right. And the Mandalay Hotel is also harbored to actors and actresses when they visit. And I don't know if you all heard this. I meant to send this to you earlier, James, but I think I put it in the Twitter chat. But the Robert Downey Jr. interview that he did, he said there is no freaking way that man would have got all those weapons up in the Mandalay Bay, because there are actual people that check for weapons there.
Oh, I believe it.
He said this is nothing but a shitstorm. I mean, the whole interview is amazing. And then, of course, he talks about pedophiles and stuff like that in the industry. And,
somebody told me today, check Robert Downey Jr.'s tweets.
Okay. Yeah.
But I used to stay in Mandalay Bay when I used to go and gamble there. I used to stay at the hotel, which is part of Mandalay Bay, but it's a separate deal. But that's where I got all comped, and I would go in, and I had these little mini locks. Every time they were cut off, so they do search your bags.
Well, alone, think about this. They prefer, when you go to those hotels, they prefer somebody to load your stuff on a cart.
Yep.
You cannot, you may be able to take a little backpack or something or a small little bag, but they prefer you to put on the cart because it's their way to identify what's kind of like weight and everything. So they kind of
going out. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times they'll load it up, they'll put it in the back room, and as you go up to your room, they take it up. And that's usually when they start kind of like whether they scan it or whatever.
Y'all want me to read this article real quick? It's not very long. Robert Downey Jr. Las Vegas shooting was a, quote, satanic blood sacrifice. This was on Your Newswire. I'll read it real quick if you want.
Do it.
The Las Vegas shooting was a, quote, satanic blood sacrifice to please occult interests, according to Robert Downey Jr., who claims the establishment elite are now living in fear of President Donald Trump's attempts to drain the swamp, including his strong campaign to arrest pedophiles. The elite have now, quote, accelerated their agenda, bringing their end game closer, claims Robert Downey Jr., explaining that they want to, quote, turn America into a prison. Robert Downey Jr., who has been in Atlanta filming the latest installment of the Marvel Avengers series, has lashed out at the official narrative surrounding the Las Vegas shooting, telling production staff that he has stayed at the Mandalay Bay and there is no way alleged shooter Stephen Paddock could have smuggled 27 high-powered weapons into his hotel rooms. Sweet. I've been to that hotel. They have special weapon detectors installed, and there is no way they would have allowed weapons in unless they were cooperating either with a federal agent, law enforcement team, or, a fake law enforcement team. The whole story stinks to high heaven. In August, the Iron Man star exposed a huge Hollywood network of pedophilia, prostitution, and human trafficking that involves a whole host of what he describes as, quote, sick fucks. Now Downey Jr. is taking aim at the deep state. There was a FEMA drill taking place in Las Vegas that day, right? There was a FEMA drill, and then suddenly it went live. Took all the actors by surprise. Suddenly, it's real bullets. We've seen this happen so many times before. They didn't even send an emergency response team for hours. Not for the drill, not for the real dead and injured. That many people did not have to die. Many more died for a lack of proper response caused by confusion. It was treason in high places.
Yep.
Downey Jr. doesn't believe the FBI are responsible for the attack, but he does believe they know more than they are willing to admit, and they know exactly who they should be questioning. They have their hands tied. You can see the fear on their faces. They know what they are dealing with, and it's above their pay grade. Really, they should be tying these top guys down. We are at a unique point in history where maybe something can be done about the power structure that has infiltrated the deep state. These treasonous psychopaths should be questioned intensively and with the use of polygraphs and, if necessary, truth-serum. Downey Jr. also insisted his theory that the U.S. government will not only let the perpetrators walk free, but will also allow them to profit to the tune of billions by selling unneeded security services and equipment. In the process, turning the United States into a giant prison is not far-fetched at all. And then Downey says, JFK was assassinated by the CIA and Mossad. Martin Luther King was assassinated by an army sniper working for the FBI. The USS Liberty strafed and torpedoed by the Israelis with a long-running cover-up by the government led by Lyndon F. Johnson. And don't forget 9/11, he said to prove his point. But in Downey Jr.'s opinion, the Las Vegas tragedy is also an opportunity. Let me spell it out even more clearly for you. Even if this was a government massacre using actual CIA and FBI employees in support of a top-secret compartmented massacre on top of a FEMA drill, the president and the new director of the FBI have a unique opportunity here. They can, quote, investigate, illuminate, indict, and incarcerate. The lawless ones have been dug in deep as a tick on my... Let me start this over. The lawless ones have been dug in deep as a tick on my hound's ass for a long time now. Everyone knows this. But if this happens, if we all get to see a billionaire do hard time, it will change America for the better. It will restore the legitimacy of the federal government in everyone's eyes.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's why people were telling me to look at Robert Downey Jr. tweets.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, when I hear that, people better be paying attention to him, seeing what happens to him. You know, I mean, that's a lot of stuff that he came out with, and you know, that's a list of what you call conspiracy. So,
I just sent you all that article. So
awesome, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, let's go ahead and play the last 3 minutes of this.
So at this point, I want to thank the community. I want to thank you for letting me be your sheriff in Vegas Strong. Thanks.
No question. I still haven't laid that out. The officers were there in the scene. Why did it take them 12 minutes to get upstairs?
Hey, let's check out that Monty video you were talking about.
I'd rather not play that on the live stream.
All right. Well, which one is it so people can watch it?
Oh yeah, I'll provide the link. It'll be in the description.
All right. Well, what you mentioned that to me. I haven't watched it yet. What is he going on about?
He's just talking about his theory and as far as the helicopters, and he thinks the helicopters are the shooter, which I completely agree.
Oh, so yeah, that's I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to check out that video.
Definitely. You know, that Robert Downey Jr., that, you know, what he had said, wow.
Yeah, that is a wow.
That's a lot of in-your-face stuff that a lot of good people, a lot of people that are kind of trying to follow and understand the times have been saying for years or months or days, you know what I mean? Whether they're newbies or they've been doing this for years. And, you know, when you have somebody like that come out, a celebrity, now I know he had a troubled time in the past at one point, but definitely people need to be paying attention to him. You know, like, is something going to happen? Possibly, hopefully not. You know, because he's opening his mouth, and of course he's you know, somebody up there. So
Well, at this point, it's every American needs to open their mouth and talk about what's going down, because we're literally trying to be what he said about it becoming a prison, like a prison, you know, United States, a prison system. That is 100% correct. If we didn't have President Trump, if we had like Hillary Clinton in, I believe that there would be like FEMA jails all around, FEMA camps, and all kinds of crap being set up. We'd probably be neck deep in World War III right now.
that is a good possibility. And in a way, we're already headed. We're already there in that prison.
Yeah, but
not fully.
I believe that they have thwarted humongously. I believe that a lot of their plans. I believe that we have there's a lot of stuff that they planned on doing that has either been thwarted, stopped, shed light on. I mean, we're talking about all their stuff, I believe, is not going the way that they planned. There's too many people that are starting to wake up.
Yep. And we need as many people to wake up, because you're right, you know, and we're all trying to help people understand and wake up and see. Because if everybody starts waking up, yes, you know, like Robert Downey Jr. had mentioned, you know, in that was, if people wake up, things can reverse, it can unwind. But, you know, how, you know, if they start, you know, getting some of these people convicted and they start going where they need to go for their time, who's going to replace those people? You know, and so you got to look at this system. I mean, how crazy is it? And we all kind of have our ideas and understandings. One may go, another one comes in. It may be the same, worse. You know, nobody knows, or it could be the best. But it's a good number of those people out there that's everywhere, that you literally got to pick with a fine tooth comb, and then are you going to be able to get it all? And if you do get it, is it going to be replaced with someone that's, you know, what we need?
Well, at this point, it's not a matter of, it's a matter of the New World Order is literally trying to take over. They want this global satanic nightmare tyranny to take over. We already are seeing it there. I mean, we're talking about people that have never been a part of like knowing what's going down, and now they're being censored on Facebook and Twitter and everything, and they're realizing what's going on. Obviously, all these platforms have been compromised to where even just regular people talking about, you know, stuff that's going on, they're trying to stop the spread of all these people waking up. And we're talking about, you know, my mother was talking to me the other day and said that one of her friends got kicked off of Facebook, and she's not like some conspiracy theorist. She's like a, you know, it's so in your face that this literally is like a quiet civil war, you know. or not quiet, but you know what I mean. It's not like everybody has guns and are like, you know, going after, but it's definitely going on. You know, it's like all the companies that are basically have been hijacked by the New World Order basically are using what they have to take place. Is this the chat right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, everything is definitely being in your face these days. And on top of that, yeah, you know, even my mother, she was telling me how, like, you know, she doesn't really know what's going on, you know, and I have to give her heads up and stuff. But see, the thing is there's a lot of people that are still sticking with the main, you know, the main channels. And it that doesn't help, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't. And then there's those that choose not to, but they don't really, you know, pay attention. And like, you know, you go on Facebook or whatever, and you're getting disciplined for something that you don't mean to do. You know, you're not, your intentions are not that way. And so these little things definitely are helping people understand. They're helping people know.
Right.
And on top of it, you know, if people can start more and more realizing everything can possibly, there's always hope for something. So
What's going on, Ryan? What's going on, Lucy's World? Matrix
hey
Adjust.
Ryan,
Mike Dole. Vince. It's good to see everybody. It was flying.
Yeah, I'm just reading through it. They said he had a Corvette that had been sitting in his driveway for 11 years.
Who's? I was trying to get. What is that?
I guess the shooter had a Corvette.
The supposed shooter.
Yeah, alleged shooter. Yeah.
you know, Jamie shared something in the chat about the sheriff, and he was saying that a sheriff has to hand it off to like the FBI or whatever. So actually, the sheriff, what he was doing is correct, I guess, due to the situation, and he did hand it off a little bit to the FBI. He spoke.
Well, he also made sure to basically let them know it is a joint investigation.
Yeah. But man, the sheriff, the poor sheriff, looked like he was about ready to piss his pants. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? He literally like looked like he saw a ghost.
Right.
I mean, I know we get nervous and everything else, but come on, you know, when you're in that sheriff role, don't you do a lot more talking to be more comfortable in front of people? Especially, how do we know if there was anybody in that room? You know?
I guess this is not your, well, we heard people asking questions as the FBI guy walked away and as the sheriff walked away. So we know people were in there. And we do know that people were told not to come in.
Well, so, yeah, but there wasn't a lot of people there to be that nervous, you know? That's what I'm getting at.
What we need to do is go back through the other interviews and look at previous year's interviews that he's done and see how he acts. I mean, this is not your everyday shooting, mass shooting. This is something that I think it's coming to crash down on their heads now, you know, kind of like Newtown.
Well, yeah, but you know, the thing that got me was he couldn't even really look at the camera, hardly see his eyes, if at all. He was always looking down. He was always looking away. You hardly saw his eyeballs. And you know, I don't know. I mean, some people are really shy, I guess, you know, and everything else. But if you're taking a role for a position like that, you know, it's more comforting to see that eye contact. A lot of people use eye contact for telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Hide their eyes, look away, blink a lot, or whatever. It can mean something. So, and I'm not saying.
Sorry, keep going.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's lying, you know, but definitely it shows in his body language, his voice, his tone. And then when the last gentleman came up, he definitely, I'd love to hear him talk. He sounded like one of those voices on one of those old shows, like Unsolved Mysteries or something. You know what I mean? His voice was just like so kind of like that what do you call it? That background noise in a show or something. So, but I don't know. Go ahead.
Tessa was alluding to Robert Downey Jr. tweets. I don't know. Somebody was telling me to look at them, but then we looked up and she found that article. That article was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Mom, or Lucy's World, said that he didn't have anything on his Twitter.
That's what I was alluding to. I never checked. I just was saying that somebody told me. Now I don't trust Twitter because they could get rid of all the tweets and whatever. But it seems like from the way that they wrote that article, there was something definitely on his Twitter before, or unless he did some news conference or whatever. But where did they get all that he said?
It sounded like an interview.
Huh.
Yeah, definitely sounded like an interview.
Well,
we need to vet our sources, of course. That was sent to me that someone else I know sent to the person I know. So, I mean, and there's been, there was a YouTuber that has a pretty big channel that actually talked about it earlier as well. So, I mean, I'll try to look up some more sources to verify that, of course.
Well, a number of subscribers today told me that. Okay. I thought it was for something different because it was on whatever video that came through, because they didn't let me go through with 2 other videos. So people just talk to me, you know, however they can. But they were saying, hey, pay attention to his Twitter, you know, or just heads up. Yeah,
after that article, I would say so.
Yeah.
Truth Apocalypse is in the chat. It's been a long time, brother. Well, I guess it's about time to wrap this up, unless you all want to keep going. I mean, we've talked a lot and made a 22-minute video last, a little over, 2 hours?
Yeah, it's perfect time. We don't want to make it too long. We want a lot of people to check this one out.
All right, and I provided the links to DA's Twitter in the description and both your channels.
Hey, put in Monograph's video on the helicopters. Yes. I actually I'm just gonna go to his channel. So he's back on. He's back up, huh?
Back up, yes.
Cool. Yeah, they did the same thing to him that they're doing to me.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And, you know, if for some reason I'm not able to live stream after this, you all know why. So, but it was very good to have this. I've missed you guys tremendously. I couldn't pass this up. I figured something told me to speak on this, so I did. You got to follow your gut. You know, that still small voice. You got to listen to it. So everybody that's in the chat, I'm not going to say everybody by name, but you know who you are. You know I love you. It's really good to see you all. James, D, thanks for being on the show with me tonight. Love to do it again.
Totally. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I totally appreciate being able to come on, and you know, I'm a newbie at this. You know, I'll BS on the other platforms like Twitter or something like that. But you know, it's nice to be able to talk to people, feel comfortable, and nice talking with you, James.
It was good talking to you too, dude.
All right. Well, if I have another stream, I'll put it up depending on when I do it. I try to put it up at least an hour ahead of time so you all can find out I'm having a stream. But Much love to you all. Just keep an eye on the channel, and we'll talk at you all later. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Much love.
Uni Matrix. All right. God bless everybody.
God bless.